Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. The Knicks lost their second straight game at home to the Washington Wizards. What was that? 116 to 105. And what I call just a sluggish effort. The Knicks just seemed to be a step slow on defense, could not hit the side of a barn, missed a lot of layups. We're going to get into it. Shout out to everybody in the chat, those who came into the chat early. I appreciate you, Jerrell D. MacGyver, Pudge Nice, 8 o'clock, 8:25. Tim Smith, I appreciate you as well. Deron, Wayne, and everyone else. Greg, Jeff Clafter, Jerrell, salute, resident panelist on Dope Soul Sports Talk, and he also has his own channel. Ooh, it's escaping me. Giants. Put it in the chat, Jerrell. You know my condition. Y'all know my condition. Put it in the chat, the name of your channel, and the link is in the description for his show and Tsunami show is always in the description. Please subscribe to the channel. The Giants play Philadelphia Saturday night, so tune in. We have a lot of fun. Shout out to Kareem Grant. Yeah, all right. Let's get into it. I know we have a lot to say. Greg popping off already in the chat. I'm gonna get to you, Greg. I can't say I disagree. All right. The Knicks came into this game 25 and 20 on the season, sixth in the Eastern Conference, having won 7 of their last 10. Lost the last game to Toronto at home. Washington Wizards came into this game 18 and 26, 12th in the Eastern Conference, 5 and 5 over their last 10, having lost their last 2 games. But I thought coming into this game, it was going to be a tough one just because of how we won the game in Washington. I felt like Washington would come in with a lot of confidence, knowing that had they hit just a few more shots, they could have won that game. We started our usual starters: Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randle, Mitch Robinson, who only played 9 minutes into the first quarter before leaving with a finger injury, did not return. They started Monty Morris. Bradley Beal was back, made his return after, I think it was a 5-game absence. Kyle Kuzma, monster game. Porzingis, monster game. And Gafford. All right. Individual stats: Brunson with 32 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover. He led the team in scoring. He had 16 points in the third quarter to keep the game within reach. This was his 8th straight game with at least 25 points. I think he's now 3rd or 4th on that list for the Knicks, getting just ahead of Clyde Drexler, who was 7th on the list. And I think the number one, I think Richie Guerin, if I'm not mistaken, is number 1 on this Knicks list with 12 straight games of 25 points. So Brunson is in the running for that. I know Greg and a few others thought that he shot too many. He shot too much last night. I mean, I kind of disagree. I mean, you look at any team, their best players are going to take the best shots. Now, we want to talk about the Knicks ball movement. That's another story. But in terms of the number of shots, the best players take the most shots. That's just how it is on any team. But we'll get more into that. Barrett, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers. He was 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. I think with RJ Barrett, it's just been an uneven performance, right? There was periods in that game where he just looked like he just dominated. He was just lights out, really impressing his will on the game, on the defender. And then there's other parts of the games where he just looked like he just walked in off the street. All right, maybe not that bad, but you know what I mean. There were other parts in the game where he just did not look, that great. But at the end of the day, he ended up with 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. Quickly, in my opinion, is playing his best basketball of late. I got to go back and see when it turned around for him. Maybe it was when he was in the starting lineup, but he's just been playing lights out, in my opinion. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover. shot 46.2% from the field, went to the line, I don't know, 7 times. I'm not sure how many, maybe just 4 times, but he made all of his foul shots. And in that fourth quarter, he had like 8 straight points. 8 straight points to get us within 5 or 6 or 7, something like that. That was all quick. He was the Knicks went on a lot of runs in this game, which Washington answered each one, by the way. But that run with quickly just, 8 straight points or whatever it is. His perimeter defense is one of the best in the game. Watch him. Just sometimes I just key on players on offense, or I lock in on a player on defense and just watch their movements and just see what they're doing. Watch quickly on defense. He's really, really good. I just love the way he's playing right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's playing within the team concept. He's not forcing it. I know sometimes it may look that way. I just think he's very confident, and he just feels like, we need a basket right now. Let me go get it. I just like the way he's playing right now. Randle, 14 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers, but just one of the worst shooting games of the season. I think he turned it on a little bit of late and hit some baskets to make it seem decent. Like he shot 35.3% from the field overall. At one point, that had to be like 20%. Like, he just could not hit the side of a barn, missing chippies. I think Porzingis' length bothered him, but I also think he didn't challenge Porzingis. I just think he got the ball, he saw Porzingis there, and he may have just passed it. I would have challenged him, see if I can get him in foul trouble. If he blocked a shot, he blocked a shot. Thought he was a little passive against Porzingis. Let me know what you think about that as far as Randle and Porzingis, but it was just a bad shooting game for him. He did have 15 rebounds. I thought he was, as many of the Knicks were, a step slow on rotations last night. How much of that have to do with fatigue? I think that's what it is. I really think that's what it was. I'm not going to overreact to Randle's bad shooting night. It happens to the best of them. I just want to. Well, let me get it. Let me just do a bit more of the Knicks, and then I'll get back to Washington. Mitch only played 9 minutes last night. Like I said, going out with a finger injury. I think they're calling it a sprain finger, right finger. Yeah, a sprained right finger injury. We'll see. They're going to evaluate him today. We'll see if he's able to play. Listen, it goes without saying, we are a better defensive team with Mitch Robinson starting and playing the minutes that he plays. Say what you want to say about Sims. I like Sims. He's just not as good as Mitchell Robinson on the defensive end. He might play the pick and roll a little better than Mitchell Robinson, but he's not as good as Mitchell Robinson. So, we got a tough stretch coming up. We got Atlanta on Friday in Atlanta, even though we do play better on the road. We go into Toronto. That's a matchup nightmare on Friday. Then we got Cleveland coming up. I think we got Brooklyn coming up. We got Philly coming up, Miami coming up, which is early February. So hopefully Mitch doesn't miss a lot of time, right? There's no good time to get injured, but with the schedule coming up, we're going to need Mitch. Sims came in. He played 10 minutes in his stead. He grabbed some key rebounds. What did Sims? Let's see. Sims played 21 minutes, 2 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, fouled out of the game. Sims plays hard. He rebounds well for you. He also had 2 blocks. He had 2 blocks, so we got some rim protection from him. I'm not going to say it's a huge drop from Mitch, but it's a drop, from Mitch. But kudos for Sims for coming in and giving us what he did. I thought he played relatively well. His footwork, wasn't that great out on the perimeter, and that's, he got into some foul trouble. But this was his first game, and I don't know how many games. So kudos to him for coming in for Mitch. Grimes had played 31 minutes, 14 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, shot 50% from the field, 42.9% from 3, went to the line twice, only hit 1 though, just fine. 1 turnover. What are you gonna say about Grimes, right? He hit some big shots for us. He plays defense. Bill gave him the business on a few possessions, but Bill is one of the top players in the league. He's injured a lot, but when he's not injured and he's in the game, he is a tough cover. So he's gonna beat his defender sometimes, and he beat Grimes a few times in that game. But for the most part, I thought he played well. The bench got a little more minutes. I mean, look at RJ Barrett played 38 minutes, which is fine. Julius Randle, 34 minutes. Jalen Brunson, 38 minutes. Quentin Grimes, 31 minutes. Manuel Quickly, 32 minutes. I'm averaging out. That's good. That's good. In order to maintain those numbers, the 4 players coming in off the bench have to play relatively well. Hartenstein got close to 13 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds. Obi Toppin, 14 minutes. He didn't score. Only took 1 shot. Obi come in. He put it up. I don't care how many minutes he gets. And he had 5 rebounds. Obi Toppin is really making a concerted effort to rebound when he's in the game. And I love it. And I love it. McBride didn't score, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. He played 10 minutes. And we talked about Jericho Sims with 20 minutes. I thought, it was good to actually see a semblance of a bench out there with RJ, playing. You can see that there's some potential in that bench unit, to give them some really good minutes. And so we can keep the minutes the way they are. None of the starters played over 38 minutes, right? So if we can keep it like that, that means the bench is doing, a decent job. I thought there was one point in the third quarter, and I'll get to the chat as well after this, with a bench. I don't know if it was the bench or Quickly got the lead within 5 or 6, in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks had made a lot of runs, but this was the closest they had gotten. And then here comes Randle and Brunson. And then the next thing you know, Washington goes on an 8-0 run. And I get it. How long can IQ cover the team, carry the team? You're not getting a lot from the rest of the second unit. How much can they, how far can he carry this team? Let me bring in Brunson. Let me bring in Randle, get him some help out there. But for me personally, when I coached, my motto was, don't mess with the mo. If you got momentum in one direction with a particular player, with a particular team, let them rock out until they start missing shots. All right, now, boom, bring your starters in. So that part of it, and I get it, this is Tibbs' philosophy. There's a certain point in the game where players come in and players come out. He's not the only one that does it, right? I just would have liked to just see how much more we could have gotten from that team before you bring in Brunson and Randle, who offensively just was not playing well. Next thing you know, whoop, 8-0 run by Washington. We're back down 13 points. Let me just get to Washington real quick, and then I'm going to check in with the chat. Kuzma, 27 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. He did have 4 turnovers. And I know we talking here like, where's Kyle Kuzma going to play? Is he going to start? Is he going to come off the bench? Yo, Kyle Kuzma is turning into that dude. Like, you see his flexibility, like how he's able to bring the ball down the court. He's able to, he has the mid-range. He has the 3-point. We will find a spot for Kyle Kuzma, if the Knicks happen to go in that direction. Like, this is somebody who could play the 3, could play the 4. He had 13 rebounds, so he can rebound for his position. He had 7 assists, so he's a willing passer. And some people are willing passers, but they can't execute. He has 7 assists. He did turn the ball over 4 times. I was kind of mid-range on Kyle Kuzma. If the Knicks decided to trade for him, fine. If not, fine. Listen, last night, and the game before in Washington, D.C., when he dropped 40. If the Knicks can get him, yeah, he checks all the boxes in my opinion. And he could play the 3 and the 4 position. So if you got, if you got RJ, Randle, and Kuzma, between those 3, they're playing 30 some odd minutes a game. I'm okay with that. Porzingis 22 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. I thought he played well for them as well. Bradley Beal, his first game back, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers. Oh, I got McConnell. McConnell didn't play in this game. This is a holdover from the Indiana slide, but I believe they had 6 players in double figures. The Knicks did not shoot well, 41.7% from the field, 26.9% from 3, 66.7% from the free throw line. And I think a lot of that, Randle was 2 for 5 from the free throw line. They shot 44.2% from the field, 38.1% from the 3-point line. They average about 10.8 made 3-pointers a game, and last night they had 16. The Knicks just were a step slow on defense. They passed the ball, right? When you pass the ball, it makes it difficult to guard because you got to keep rotating, right? Somebody is going to be open. And last night, they happened to hit their 3-pointers, 16. They took 42 of them. They hit 16. And they also shot 84.2% from the free throw line. All right. Canal Bound Lawyer, what makes people think Kuzma would play? Come on. I know we feel like Tibbs is not going to play people. Tibbs is not stupid. Tibbs are going to play his type of guys, right? Kyle Kuzma can play. He dropped 40 on us in Washington. And last night, 27 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. You really think if he was traded to the Knicks that he wouldn't play? I don't know. I would disagree with that. Boss Ryder Kells, appreciate you. If this is your first time in the chat, welcome. Subscribe to the channel. Obi has the same talent as Randle. My dude, opportunity is everything. I would have to disagree with that. And I'm not saying that eventually he might not become a better player than Randle. I just don't think he's Randle is a very talented guy. The issue with Randle, may be that he'll have some mental farts at times and just make some inopportune mistakes. But Obi's not handling the ball like Randle. Obi is not shooting the ball off the dribble like Randle. Obi is not rebounding like Randle, even with the opportunity. I just don't see that. Sherwin Erk, IQ had 18 points, 6 of 13 from the floor, but he was not passing the ball. Listen, when a player has it going, let him rock. He was 16 from so he's in a good groove. Now, if you're telling me that he was double teamed and he was forcing shots, if you're telling me that, he was bringing the ball down and somebody was wide open and he took a contested 3, even though he made it, I would agree with you. But he was 6 for 13. He took good shots, in my opinion. He made the right decisions, in my opinion. So why would you pass in those situations? I think you don't want to make it easy on the defense, right? So if somebody is cooking and they're having a hard time guarding somebody, and then you pass it to somebody, unless it's somebody who's wide open and they have a better shot, you're letting the team off the hook. You're letting them off the hook. There's nothing they could do with you. So I don't know about that, Sherwin. I know that does happen sometimes, but last night, I didn't think so. Ashley Inc. 1, West Coast Wiz, appreciate you. Kuzma is going to be that guy. He's definitely having a really good season for them. Jerrell, appreciate you. Tibbs rotations stink. He has to do a better job staggering minutes instead of always having the same rotations at set times during the games. Yeah. Kerry Cox, what talent does Obi has? He has one skill, dunking in the open court. And I would also say, the 3-point shot, right? I think that that's been a bit more reliable as of late. Let's see. All right. Sharon, without Mitch, we will go 0. And how many games we play. So if he's out for 5 games, we would go 0-5. I disagree. I disagree. I do think, Mitch is definitely much better now than he was 2 years ago. I think it would take the Knicks would have to. Don't get me wrong. It's not that he won't be missed, but I don't think we would lose every game he doesn't play in. Greg, we have too many players trying to be the alpha dog, and we all know that can only be one alpha, and then after that, everybody else takes their position. I think there's a few alphas on this team. I think we can go back and forth between who's the best player, Brunson or Randle. I think you're splitting hairs, at that point. But I don't think this is a team built with just one person at the top. I'm sorry if Washington is healthy. They simply are a better team than the Knicks. Brunson was awful. He was ISO most of the game and refused to play the ball. Listen, get used to it. This is just how the Knicks play. Like it or not, this is kind of how the Knicks play with Randle, with Brunson, with RJ. In the beginning of the season, we would have moved the ball, move your body type team, and that has definitely changed. And in all fairness, we've had some success that way. How sustainable it is, as a few of you have pointed out in the chat, we shall see. I think we just need to be flexible. I think when those guys are cooking, they should take those shots. Don't let the defense off the hook by passing it around. And by that, I mean, if you have the advantage, in a matchup, go to that player. Go to that player if they have the advantage. If not, that's a totally different story. And the Knicks have to be flexible. If this guy is hot, we're going to continue to go to him. They're not. Now we got to get back to moving the ball around. Yeah. Jerrell, Randle had a bad shooting night. It happens, but when he has bad shooting nights, it's always a tough game for us to win. We need bench help back. And that's how it is with most teams. If Tatum really struggles, it's going to be hard for them to win. I'm not saying the other guys can't step up. They can. But it does put you at a disadvantage when one of your top players doesn't shoot well and doesn't play well, right? It puts you at a disadvantage, and that's for any team. All right. All right. Marcus Miller, who is Brunson passing to is my question. Jules was off. Mitch and Grimes aren't shot creators. I mean, listen, excuse me, Brunson and Randle are willing passers, right? So if there's a double team, they will pass out of it. I think what a lot of fans want to see is just the ball moving around. Just have the ball moving around. They can still get those same shots, but you're making the defense work. The ball will come back to them. I don't have a problem with that. As long as your best players are taking the most shots in the game, I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with making the defense work, which is what Washington did. Washington made the Knicks work from moving the ball around, right? The Knicks were slow on their rotations. They got easy shots. I don't have any problems with that. The problem I have is when equal opportunity offense where everybody is getting, whoever has the ball, shoot. At the end of the game, Even if you're moving the ball and moving your body, your best players have to take the most shots to give yourself the chance of winning. All right. We went over that. Team stats. Like I said, the Knicks did not shoot well from the field. They didn't shoot well from the three-point line. They didn't shoot well from the free throw line. You could talk about defense, and defense is important, but this is a shot-making league. If you don't hit your shots, you're just not going to win the games. And I think some of it was Washington. Some of it was Washington defense, but some of it was the Knicks just missing open shots. The Knicks just missing chippies right at the rim. So I don't want to take anything away from Washington and their defense, but the Knicks were awful offensively, just not hitting the shots they usually hit. The Knicks were killing in the paint, 66-44, 28 second chance points to 22, but as people pointed out, 14 assists. 14 assists. Now, part of that is ISO ball, going one-on-one, not passing the ball. But another part of low assists is not hitting your shots, right? In order to get assists, you have to hit your shots. The Knicks shot 41.7%. That being said, Washington had 28 assists with only 2 more made field goals. I think the Knicks had 40 field goals and Washington had 42 field goals, right? There's something to be said. There's something to be said for that. And let's see how the Knicks, how things change going forward. It's possible that they get back to moving the ball and moving their bodies. It depends. But Randle, RJ, Brunson, you got 3 players who are at their best creating off the dribble. So you got to do what's best for the team. So we shall see. How that goes. Appreciate you, Canal Ban Lawyer. Like, share, subscribe. For sure. I appreciate you, Marcus Miller. We are a bad shot making team. I don't think ball movement will help shot making because the team generates good looks, just misses shots. Yeah. But I think for the most part, we have been, take away the first, 15 games of the season or since we went to this starting lineup with Grimes, the Knicks overall shooting has been better. The Knicks 3-point shooting has been better, but we have gone more to putting the ball in Brunson's hand, putting the ball in Randle's hands, and having them create offense for us, whether that's for themselves off the pick and roll or whether that's dishing on the double team. Sit Grimes down. Why would you want White Falcon? Why would you want to sit Grimes down? Grimes is our best perimeter defender in that starting lineup. The best perimeter defense in the starting lineup. So why would we sit him down? JJ, appreciate you. Second hardest remaining schedule. I fully expect the Knicks to drop in the standings. They might. Listen, I think fatigue is a factor. If we can keep the minutes the way they were last night, nobody played under 38 minutes, played over 38 minutes. I think the Knicks will get their legs back, and I think they'll be more fresh, right? Coming off back-to-backs, overtime game, playing 40 minutes, it's just not sustainable, right? I think Tibbs realized that the minutes for the starters were down last night. The bench got a few more minutes, as well. And I'm not even talking about Sims. I'm not talking about Sims because Sims just basically took Mitch minutes, right? Greg, the Knicks play the best basketball when the ball is moving and the opposing team doesn't know which player is going to have the ball the majority of the time and everyone is involved. I will say it looks better. But every team knows who's going to get the most shots on the team. So if you're saying per possession, They don't know who's going to take the shot. I agree with you. But every team knows at the end of the day, your best players is going to take your best shot. I'm not defending not moving the ball, because the main thing for me with moving the ball is not that Randle is going to take less shots, or RJ is going to take less shots, or you get more shots for this person. The main reason for moving the ball, in my opinion, make that defense work. Make that defense work, and you yourself can get easier shots. You're moving the ball. At the end of the day, the ball is still going to end up in Randle or Jalen Brunson's hands. But hopefully it's an easier shot. Hopefully for them, it's an easier shot when you're moving the ball and moving your body. Kenny Payne, who said that? Randle cannot play power forward. Okay, I hear you. All right. Let's talk about the game itself, and then I'll check back with the chat. The Knicks never led in this game. And I remember in the first quarter saying, wow, this is something new, because usually we'll get out to a decent sized lead in that first quarter. Randle will play, very well in the first quarter. The Knicks will build up a lead in the game. We'll lose the lead. And lately, we've been closing out, those type of games. This was probably the second game in the season, I believe, where the opposing team led right from the tip. This game was never tied. I think the Knicks was able to get it within 5 or 6, but each time Washington responded. The Knicks were really never in this game. They shot 7 for 12 in the first quarter. And like I said, Washington usually makes about 11 threes per game. They had 16. They were hot. I think they were confident coming off the loss in Washington with Beal back, how close they were even without Beal, that they would be able to win this game. And they did. Knicks are now 11-13 on the road. Excuse me, at home. 2 games under 500. I think they're the only winning team who has a 500 or less record at home. Fortunately, our next 2 games are on the road against Atlanta and Toronto, and those games are not going to be easy. Atlanta has won their last 4 games, right? They're long as well. They got DeJounte Murray. They have DeAndre Hunter, right? So whoever, Trae Young is on might have an easier night. But whoever DeJounte Murray is guarding, whoever DeAndre Hunter is guarding, it's going to be a tough night for them, right? And the Knicks are easy to guard because they don't move the ball, right? So if you don't have somebody that you can put on Brunson, if you don't have somebody that you can put on Randle, it's going to be a tough night. But if you do have somebody you can put on those guys, even if they get their points, you're making them work for it. You're wearing them down over the course of a game, right? And Toronto have those type of players that can play those guys one-on-one. Atlanta have those type of players that can play those guys one-on-one. Now, for Randle, DeJounte will probably be on RJ Barrett, but he could play a little 4 as well, And I'm not saying Brunson and Randle won't get their points. I'm just saying against those 2 teams, our next 2 opponents, they're going to have to work for it. They're going to have to work for it. And so this is a situation, where moving the ball can get them easier shots. Can get them, you just cut to a spot, you get the ball, pull up, take your shot. It's just easier, right? But those guys play better, creating their own shot off the dribble. So does that play to the team's strength? We shall see. We shall see. We talked about the Knicks not shooting well. We talked about the fourth quarter where I just thought that Tibbs should have left that unit in and just see if we could have got closer than we did. Bringing Brunson and Randle back, boom, 8-0 run, down 13. Now you got to try to make another run. What I will say about the Knicks, and we've seen this throughout the season, they don't quit. They don't give up. They still fight to get back into the game. I do like that about them. We talked about Robinson's injury. We'll see today whether or not he will be back, if he'll miss any games. All right, let's just do a few trade updates before we get out of here. Let me check with the chat first. Jeff Clafter, appreciate you. It's one game and we were flat. It happens. Yeah, let me ask that. Are we panicking, Nick family? Are we panicking because we lost to Toronto and we lost to Washington? What's your concerns? We got tough games coming up. Do you think the Knicks are going to go 0-3 this season? Marcus Miller, player movement is a pet peeve of mine. Just standing around while isolation isn't a move. We should be running strong side sets while Brunson cooks and ISO on the weak side. Yeah, there's not a lot of cutting, and I don't know if guys don't want to get into the lane because that's where Brunson likes to operate, right? So you don't want to cut in the lane if that's where he's going to drive to take his shots. But you're absolutely right with that. All right. Jeff Clafter, Mitch was out. How was they hungrier? I just think the Knicks are just fatigued right now. Keyshawn, appreciate you for rocking with us this morning. If you look at the chat, you would think we only had 10 wins so far this season. Yeah. Ashley Eat One, ball and player movement also reduces predictability for the defense, has to make more adjustments. Agreed. JJ Randle can't defend a small forward. Not for a significant period of time. I've seen him do it, but to put him why would we put him at small forward anyway? Like we're already, when you look at the power forward position, it's just Randle and Obi. So now you're going to slide him to the 3. Who are you playing at 4? Obi, you're going to play Randle and Obi Toppin at 3 and 4? Or you're going to play Randle and Sims? Listen, I like Sims' defense, but you're getting absolutely nothing out of him on the offensive end. Absolutely nothing. Right? I think he can defend him in spurts, but I agree with you, JJ. For the entire game at small forward, nah. I would disagree with that. Kenny Payne thought Randle lost us that one. I don't know if he lost us that one. I thought the entire team was a step slow defensively, getting to the offensive boards, getting out on the perimeter. I thought the entire team was slow, but he did not shoot well. And you can argue, had he shot better, the Knicks obviously would have had a better win. I think on any team, when one of your top players shoots like that, doesn't play that well, it does decrease your chances of winning the game. All right. A third part, Ashley Inc. 1, appreciate you. West Coast, what time is it over there? 10, what, about 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock? A third part of low assist is passing to a player out of position to take an ideal shot. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. You do want, listen, I don't think I don't want the Knicks to pass the ball. Don't think I don't want the Knicks to move the ball around. For me, just make sure your best players end up taking most of the shots at the end of the night. That's my only issue. But you're right, Ashley Inc. You definitely don't want to pass just to be passing. You want to pass to get a better shot, and you want to pass to somebody who in position to take their shot, right? The last game, I know a lot of you didn't have issue with, but I had an issue with passing to Mitch Robinson down low in the waning moments of the game against Toronto. He's just not a good foul shooter. And I get it. He had a massive mismatch. I think Van Vliet was on him, a massive mismatch. But I just think you got to know who you're passing to. I don't know if I would have passed to Mitchell Robinson in that position. Yeah, I don't think there's a right answer to it. He did, like I said, he did have the advantage. But I agree with you. You definitely have to pass it to someone who's in position. But even when you do pass it, if that person is not in position to take a good shot, pass it to the next person. I see that with Grimes sometimes. He does have a quick release, but sometimes I feel like his feet is not really set before he's pulling up for the shot. But I don't have a lot of complaints about Grimes, one of my favorite players on the team. We had 10 assists until late in the fourth. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'm not arguing with you. Wizards have 3 20-point per game scorers, but they all pass the ball, unlike the Knicks' top 3 scorers. That is true. That is true. All right. Trade updates. So it seems like the Knicks are doubling down or redoubling their efforts to move Cam ahead of the trade deadline. So it seems like they're trying not to even wait. A lot of times you see a flurry of trades around the day of, but the Knicks are trying to move Cam well ahead of the trade deadline. I heard, that they would only want a second round pick. I don't think you're going to get a first rounder for Cam, and you could say that the Knicks have depressed his value, maybe if he was in the rotation, maybe you can get a late first, maybe you can get a protected first, but having him out of the rotation, even if other front offices understand why you're doing it, listen, they're not playing him not because of his talent. They're not playing him because he's just not a fit for what a Tibbs type of player. Even if the opposing front office understands that logic, they're still going to use it as leverage. We're not giving you a first round pick for somebody that's not even in your rotation. We're not even going to give you a protected first round pick for somebody that's not in your rotation. How are you going to tell me he's a good player and you're not even playing him? Even though they know why the Knicks aren't playing him. So it's going to be hard to get a first round pick. For me, if we can get a rotation player for Cam, I would prefer that even more than a protected first round pick, in my opinion. So I think it's the Lakers, Dallas, Milwaukee are very interested in Cam Reddish. The Knicks, if they do a trade with Dallas, they would like Bullock back. Apparently, there's some salary cap issues, with Bullock. I think he's partially guaranteed for next year, $5 million of the $10 million. They want to sign Christian Wood, so they need, some space to do that. What do you think about Bullock coming back? He was a big part of our rotation 2 years ago when we made the playoffs. Very good defender, a Tibbs type of player, understands what Tibbs wants on the defensive end. That 3-point shot is hit or miss, in my opinion. He can go hot or cold. But what do you think about bringing Bullock back? And then also Grayson Allen. The Knicks are looking at him with a trade with Milwaukee. I know we got a lot of people may not like Grayson Allen and his antics and what have you, but he's very close to Cam, who will be gone, and RJ Barrett. Your thoughts on Grayson Allen? I'm not familiar with Grayson Allen defensively. So can someone tell me whether or not he's a good defender or not? Because for whoever we're bringing in my opinion, it has to be somebody who can defend their position and they can shoot. I would prefer not to bring in people who can shoot, can't really defend. We have that in Evan Fournier, right? Or who can defend but can't really shoot. We have that right now in Sims and McBride right now. Parrish Duggar, I know he's not in the chat. I'm not saying McBride won't ever be a good shooter, but for right now, we just need players who can do both. Kenny Payne, Bullock can bring Randle back to his elite play. I think Randle is playing just as well without Bullock. So Queen, you got rid of him and now you want him back. And whose minute is he going to take? McBride. First of all, the starters will probably play less minutes, right? If you get some good rotation players, the starters can play less minutes than they've been playing. and McBride would be the odd person out in that second unit, so that's 10 minutes right there. If it's Bullock, maybe you bring, RJ's numbers down a little bit, minutes down a little bit, maybe Grimes minutes down a little bit. We're talking 1, 2, shaving like 1 or 2, 3 minutes off of each person to give that player some time, right? But McBride, whoever the Knicks bring in, if the Knicks make any trade, McBride is going back to the bench, and it will be IQ backing up Brunson, right? That's just how it is. Unless they bring in a big, But even if they bring in a big, it's the same thing. You just slide everybody down one slot. So I think I think it's McBride. Now I read that the Knicks are not interested in trading McBride. Apparently teams maybe, I don't know if they've been calling or wanting to include McBride, in trades. I don't know if they're calling asking for him specifically, or in the workings of a deal are inquiring about including McBride in the deal, but the Knicks are not really interested in moving McBride, right? Obviously, if it's somebody they really, really, really want, they would have to think about it, right? But they're not actively shopping him, and they really don't want to move him. Tibbs will start him over Grimes. So who cares? As long as Grimes get his minutes, who cares who starts? It's about the team. It's not about Grimes. It's about the New York Knicks. So I don't think Bullock would start. I think Bullock will come off the bench. But so what if he starts? There is enough minutes in that second unit for Grimes to still get his minutes, right? Keith Turner, why does Randle get all the blame for a loss? Like he's not allowed to have a bet. Yeah, no doubt about it. He is allowed. That's why I said I'm not overreacting. I'm not overreacting at all. He had a bad game. Kerry Cox, who wants McBride? Question marks. Ashley Cam, Obi, D Rose, and Washington first round pick for Kuzma, or add Fournier for. Listen, Ashley Inc. I'm not. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Cam, Obi, Cam is not in the rotation. D Rose is not in the rotation. The Washington pick, is there, so the protections wouldn't even matter. Obi is not really getting a lot of minutes behind Randle. Would they go for that? But if they did, I would give that up in a heartbeat. I did read somewhere. Now Kuzma's going to be an unrestricted free agent. I read somewhere that they want to bring him back. That they're not really having money concerns. They want to bring him back. Has anyone heard anything different? All right. Or add 48. Nah. They're not gonna. I see what you're saying. Take Kuzma out, add Fournier, and then go for KP. Okay. Let's bring back Kevin. Listen, Kevin Knox is not Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock can defend his position. He can hit a three. He wasn't very consistent hitting the threes. But I'm not mad with Bullock coming back. Keyshawn, Robert Covington off the Robert Covington. I don't mind Robert Covington either, but I just think he hasn't been playing a lot, and so I'm not quite sure where he is. Has he fallen off a little bit? Is he still the defensive player he was? All right. The Knicks are 7th in the Eastern Conference now. They're tied with Miami. And I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is because we haven't played Miami yet. But we're tied with Miami, but Miami's in 6th. New York is in 7th. Our next game is against Atlanta. Atlanta is 23-24. They're 8th in the Eastern Conference. They're 6-4 over their last 10, and they've won their last 4 games. And this game is going to be in Atlanta. I know we have a lot of fans there, No traveling for them. They're on a good roll. We've lost 2. They've won 4. They're 21st in offensive rating. Not great. They're 12th in defensive rating. The Knicks are 11th. Net rating, they're 23rd. And we've won 1 and lost 1. I don't even remember playing Atlanta. We've played Atlanta twice. I don't even remember playing Atlanta this season. Yeah, I do. I remember playing 1 game. Yeah, I remember 1 game against Atlanta. But what I will say, like I always say about offensive, defensive, and net rating, that's just telling you where a team has been up to this point. But on any given night, a team can outplay those numbers, right? They can play better than those numbers. They can play worse than those numbers. Atlanta's on a roll. I'm really concerned about this team. The Knicks do play well on the road, but why I'm concerned? Because they have defenders, right? The Knicks are not a team that moves the ball and moves their bodies and make it hard for teams to guard them, right? And they have someone they could put on Brunson. I think if you put DeAndre Hunter on Randle, yeah, he does have length. I still think Randle wins that matchup against DeAndre Hunter, right? Put DeAndre Hunter on RJ. I think RJ struggles a little bit. I think RJ will struggle a little bit. I'm not worried about Collins guarding Randle at all, right? They have rim protection. They're starting a Congo now, but Capella still plays. So they're going to have that rim protection in the game all the time. This is going to be a really tough one for the Knicks Friday, right? I anticipate we're starting now Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randle. Mitchell Robinson is going to be out. Are we going to start Hartenstein or are we going to start Sims? Doesn't really matter. Both of those guys are going to play in Robinson's absence if he's unable to go. And they're going to go against some pretty good rebounders, guys who get their team second chance opportunities, and guys that are rim protectors, right? This is going to be a tough one for the Knicks, in my opinion. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Onyeka Okongwu. I hope I said that right. What do we think, Knicks? Knick fam, what do you think about this game? Win, loss, a close one, a blowout? What do you think? Shout out to Mahid Wheeler. I hope I said that right. Appreciate the super chat. Queen, would you do KP for Mitch? That's a tough one because of what Mitch does for us defensively. You're going to give up something defensively for Mitch. Trading out KP for Mitch. But what you're going to gain offensively is just going to change the complexion of this team. I would have to think about that. But that's a good one. I would have to think about that. Tom gets too much credit. He's a product of other people, as every coach is. You don't think Steve Kerr is a product of Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson doing well? You don't think Pop was a product of Duncan Robinson and Tony Parker? You don't think Spoelstra was a product right now of Butler and Bam and Shaq and Dwayne Wade? Every coach is a product of their players doing well, right? I'm not saying coaches don't make a difference. I think coach can help you win a little more than you would have. They can not put you in a great position and you can lose a little more than you normally would have. But make no mistake about it. Good coaches, when you look at their record, ask yourself, who played for them? Who played for them? Usually they've had good pay. That coach in Miami is a great coach. Yeah, go into the chats. Go into the Miami chat rooms. Just like we're complaining about Tibbs, they're complaining about Spoelstra as well, right? Miami is in the 8th seed. 8th seed. So how is he a great coach with regardless? They got the same team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Was it last year or the year before? They were at one point, they were the 12th seed in the conference. Then they were in the 8th seed. They're underperforming. Why are they underperforming if he's such a great coach? They're underperforming because it's about the players doing their jobs. And if your team is not defending, or they're not hitting shots, or your best players are not playing up to par, you're going to lose. Right? So, listen, I'm not saying coaching doesn't make a difference. It does. Right? Look at Nick Nurse, great coach. Where's Toronto? 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. So what do you want? A coach with a good reputation whose team is floundering? Or a coach who you don't think is that great and your team is in the 6th and 7th seed most of the season in the Eastern Conference Finals? Come on, let's relax, fam. Let's relax a little bit. All right. Tonight, the Just Nicking It show, we'll talk more trade rumors. We'll talk about most of the storylines that's come up this week. We'll finish our mid-season grades. Last show, we weren't able to get to everything. So we'll get to the bench and we'll get to the coaching staff, and we might even throw the front office in. Maybe. We'll see. So that's tonight, Just nixing it. Okay, I made a mistake there. Friday, the NBK pregame show, where we'll be breaking down the Atlanta Hawks. I may or may not make that show, but most of you are subscribed to that channel. So Friday, the notification will come out at the time of the show. And then Saturday, I'll be right here, 9-ish, usually around 9:15 for the morning recap show. Give some shout outs before I get out of here. Shout out to Paris Duggar, Shy Gunner, Canal, Ben. Look, Paris, relax. Okay, he gets his team to do their bet. Okay, where are they now? Paris Duggar. Where are they now? So they struggled earlier in the season. They're just now winning. He's the same coach he's been. So I think what happens with us is if we don't like somebody, it doesn't matter what they do. That narrative will never, ever change. Paris Duggar doesn't like Tibbs. Tibbs, we can win the championship. He would still have complaints about Tibbs, but it's all cool. Jerrell, shout out, Shotgunner, Spanish Harlem, Julian Blum, Jeff Clafter, I appreciate you. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I appreciate you. Greg, Ilmatics, Angel Torres, Stafford Don, Mahid Wheeler, appreciate you. White Falcon 44, Julian Blund, Canal Band Lawyer, Dwayne Dennis, Building Blocks, Keith Turner, Greg, Kerry Cox. Kerry Cox, I got to rework that logo for the shirt. They rejected it because it said New York Knicks basketball, and that's copyrighted. Duh. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So I got to rework the logo. I don't know if I'm going to say New York basketball, NYK. I'm not sure, but I got to rework the logo. I think Ashley Inc. 1, appreciate you. Geraldine MacGyver, Jeff Clafter, Marcus Miller. I think I got to everybody. Tim Smith, Pudge, nice. Early bird gets the worm. Okay, Tim Smith, good morning. Or one of those games where a better bench might have gotten us rolling. Other than IQ and Sims, everybody was flat. iHeart is hustling like he's about to get cut. But to no avail. Oh boy. I love you guys. All right. I appreciate you guys. Again, tonight, the Just Nicking It show, 9 o'clock. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button so you'll be notified when we go live. Peace, fam.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine.
her.
Don't stop.
Where you at?
Don't stop.